Buenos nachos, and welcome back to the channel. On today's episode, we're going to be working on this console that was set to go out the door, but still has an issue or two. This console was sent in for the clock capacitor trace rot repair, as well as a recapping. We did take care of the trace rot, repaired a couple of traces, and of course we have already performed the capacitor replacement on the motherboard. After I sealed up this console, it displayed a new issue. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what it's doing. We'll go ahead and try and power this console up. First we'll go ahead and plug it in, of course. So I don't know if you can see that, but the fan is spinning every time I press the power button. It may be a little bit difficult to see, but there's a green light that shines right over here. So let's just press this a couple of times and see what happens. Looks like the console's turning on. We have nothing on screen. Let's go ahead and turn this thing off, and let's turn it back on. So this console was working not that long ago, and now it no longer works. So we're going to do a little bit of diagnostics, We're going to use some hot air. So I'm going to heat up these three capacitors right here. Let's see if that's enough. And what do you know? We get a picture on screen. So as you can see, we have a power supply with failed capacitors. However, they're not visually failed. So I've already checked in with the customer and they've declined a full repair on the power supply. However, I'm going to do them a solid and replace the three capacitors right here on the power supply. That way they can get up and running again. And we'll see if that takes care of the issue. First thing we have to do is loosen up these capacitors. And these are 2200 microfarad 10 volts. We have some 2200 16 volts here as replacements. We're going to be using 350C for our temperature, and of course we're going to be using our Hakko FX-951 with our T15D24 soldering iron tip. Alright, so that's one of them. And of course we have our polarity clearly marked right there with negative on the right hand side. I'm trying my best not to touch this area because there may be some residual voltage from this. So I'm not using my discharging tool this time. The adhesive that's here causing some problems. Alright, that was much better. And of course negative is on the left hand side. See if we can run this thing through. Oop. I have to do a little bit of desoldering. Alright, now we should be able to run this thing through. Perfect. Fold those legs over. And we have one more capacitor to replace, which is right here. Probably could have done without the higher iron temperatures, but that did make it a whole lot easier. And our final capacitor. It's on the right hand side for the polarity. Fold these legs over. Alright, now we can tack these down. So let's go ahead and cut the legs on these first. Just going to apply a little pressure from the bottom, or in the top in this case. That way we can ensure these joints are good. Go ahead and cut the next two. There's a little bit of excess, so we'll just trim that off. Make sure you're careful because you can cause problems to the traces. Alright, let's go ahead and clean off the flux. Alright, we're all done, so we'll go ahead and put this in the console. Alright, go ahead and plug this thing in. Yeah, I really thought we only needed to do 3. So we'll go ahead and replace the 1000 microfarad 16 volt next. Let's go ahead and cut these back. Feels like that caffeine is kicking in.
Do you have a console in need of repair or modification? Do you not have a console? Don't fret, we offer repairs and upgrades as well as refurbished ones. For more information, fill out the contact form on our website, nixelectronics.com.
Yeah, let's go ahead and make sure all these solder joints look nice and smooth before we progress. Yeah, it probably wouldn't hurt to add a little bit more solder to a few of these. Yeah, it all looks pretty good. Alright, so we'll go ahead and clean off the flux. Let's go ahead and try this again. Wow. Even replacing that 4th capacitor did not do it. I was kind of hoping we wouldn't need to replace every single capacitor in here. So I've already replaced quite a bit of capacitors in this area, and that has not changed the symptoms. So I think it's kind of a placebo of just heating up this area is what made the console work. However, after having replaced all those caps, I was still able to replicate what was going on by heating and cooling this area over here, and that would allow the console to boot up. And once it would get cold, of course the console would not boot up. Now I did inspect the back of the power supply, checked for cracked solder joints, and I did not find anything until I got to this IC right here. This IC had a cracked solder joint on this leg, and the console did boot up for a little bit after reflowing the solder joints. However, it still ended up having the same problem once it cooled down again. So we've already spent too much time repairing this power supply, so I'm going to reach out to the customer and see if they'd be open to a replacement power supply. That way they can get back into gaming. If you found this video helpful or useful, please remember to leave us a like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. Until next time.